and welcome to Amy Hart's Mums Club, the podcast where I journey through the highs and lows of parenting alongside a gaggle of fabulous guests. And that's not all. This podcast is for you, so make sure you check out our social medias at Amy Hart's Mums Club on Instagram and TikTok and send us any questions you have for any of our wonderful guests. My guest today is one busy lady. She's been in EastEnders, she's been in Ackley Bridge, she's done 2 Channel 5 series, she's done the Harlem Common series, and she's also got 15-year-old twins, Freddie and Edie. She is very, very busy, but she has given us half an hour to chat to her about her new series of Shakespeare and Hathaway, which I'm very excited about. 5 series. Please welcome Jo Joyner.
Hi, Amy.
Hi. Right, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, I'm good. It's sunny. It's September. Everyone's back to school. It's
I
good.
know. Like I said in the intro, you do so much and you're also raising teenage twins. How do you juggle it all?
With a really good support network, I think. I mean, yeah, I live back in the village where I grew up. So my parents are nearby, and I have to say, I don't know how people do it without mum support, but my mum is a massive support, and my dad. And then yeah, my husband is really great. He's very good at being suddenly a single dad for 3 months and then being thrown everything. So yeah, I think it's all about the people that are surround you.
Yeah, that's like exactly mine. I still live where I grew up. When I first met my husband, our first phone call, I was like, just so you know, I'm not moving away from Worthing, like ever. And then when we got together, he was like, oh, would you not want to go and live in London and stuff? And I was like, but babe, when we have kids, like what are we gonna do? And he's like, we'll make it work. And now with my mum, he's like, yeah, we can never, if your mum moves to Spain, we're gonna have to move to Spain. Like
Yeah, it's true. The mums I'm really grateful for. And I have a lot of friends who do it without their mums and without any kind of support nearby. And I'm in awe of them. I don't know how they juggle it all.
I know, I have no idea. Now you had your twins through IVF. What was that experience like for you?
For me, it was do you know what, the lead up to IVF, I would say, was the worst part, really. There's all those years of not knowing why you can't conceive, and that build up that used to kind of regularly happen where you'd be like, oh, I think I'm eating a lot. Oh, I'm a bit tired. You get really excited, and then your period will come, and you'd be heartbroken after a certain amount of time. So I think because I'm a bit of a control freak, actually, once I knew that we really needed IVF, and the reason we were lucky to find out the reasons why, then that made it all, I don't know, I could take control of it then I knew what the next steps were. And then that, alongside with the fact that we had both agreed that if we weren't successful with IVF after the first, if we gave it 3 goes, or we were going to give it 3 goes, because statistically it was 1 in 3 chance. We had both also agreed that we were happy to adopt, and I think that took the pressure off, having had that conversation. So it became less about, oh my gosh, I'm never going to have a family. It was more, we will have a family, we just don't know how yet, and we don't know which way. So that kind of calmed it all down. And then I had 1 round, and we got 6 eggs, because I did a short protocol, very gentle protocol. So we only got 6 eggs. We made 3 embryos, and 1 perished, and the other 2 are Edie and Fred. So we were incredibly lucky, to succeed on our first round, and to know why we were having trouble in the first place. People can do this for years and years, can't they? So
Mm.
although, I'm not belittling IVF as a process, but I think that I kind of had the best version of it, if you can
Yeah.
have any, so I just feel very lucky.
I've had friends who have like their 3 goes, but on one of their goes, they got given too much medication. So they like over ovulated. Or maybe I think this is for IUI. And that's one of their goes. And they're like, but it's not my fault. You gave me too much medication. Like, don't take one of my goes away.
Yeah,
Like,
that's really
it's really,
lucky. So yeah, we did ours privately, although I did qualify for having it on the NHS, but I wanted to go a bit quicker, and I
yeah,
had the funds. So we went privately. But I could imagine if you really only have a certain amount of funds or a certain amount of goes,
yeah.
on the NHS, then that would be devastating. And again, that's what short protocol is it runs alongside the woman and her natural uh cycle. So there is a chance of overstimulating, but I was so regular, and my cycles were, not an issue at the time. So it was easy to run alongside me. So it's a gentler version of IVF. So it means that they don't have to put you into menopause first, so that they can
Right.
then lay their stuff on top. So I'm a massive researcher, so I'd done a lot of research, and decided that that was the best one to try first. So yeah, I was lucky. I didn't overstim.
See, I'm a massive researcher and I froze my eggs, but I'm now thinking, did I do that like softer version? Because I did the one where like your period comes, then you email them, and then they get you in the next day for the scan, and then they start injecting, and so it follows your thing. And I actually understimmed the first time, and
Yeah.
they scanned me, and they were like, "Oh, you've only got one egg, so let's just abandon now, and we'll start again next month." And I was like, "What? I haven't had
Yeah.
a fizzy drink for 3 months, like."
So you did do the short protocol, which is gentler, and because it runs alongside you, but the chances you're going to maybe get quality over quantity. You're never going into sort of 14, 12, eggs. So
Yeah, I got 5 and then I got 7. And then got pregnant by accident. So that's like, all that money that I spent, like
You still deserve then.
I know exactly. I keep saying that's child like 2, 3, and 4. That's fine. That's future. When did you find out you were having twins?
Really early on, because when I went to go and have the embryos put back in, and I was only supposed to have one put back in because I was, still quite young relatively for IVF, and any responsible clinic would kind of advise just to put one in. And it was a 10-minute appointment. And then when we got there, the third embryo had perished. And I asked them, why they thought it had perished. And they kind of said, well, we don't really know, but we cultivate them in pairs in Petri dish. And that one was on its own. And then they went, so you came to put one in? And then I thought, well, no, because then I'm going to leave one on its own, aren't I? And so I said, have a look and see what the chances are of it surviving defrosting and refrosting, in a couple of years' time. And they looked and said, oh, about 30%. So I thought, these are not good enough.
That's on both in.
Put them both in, thanks. Within 10 minutes, my husband's face was just like, really? Are we doing this? I was like, yeah, we're all in. And then, yeah, so we were very lucky. We kind of went back at 7 weeks to have the scan, and they had two placentas, 2 babies, but only 1 heartbeat. So we had to go away for another week and just hope that continued, and it did. So yeah, I knew really early on that there was a possibility, and then I was very, very sort of had a lot of morning sickness, so I kind of was thinking, oh, I'm surely I've got 2 in there for this.
The double sickness. Did you find out what you were having? So I'm so nosy about these things. Did you find out what you were having before?
I didn't, and I just was listening to a podcast recently with an actress on it, and she was not going to find out, and I was really excited because I think a lot of the younger generation, it's all about the reveals and everything, isn't it? And I think by that point I'd had so much sort of interference with science and such a long wait that I really wanted to go back to what would have happened naturally if I'd have got pregnant at the time, which was, it wasn't as usual to find out the sex of your children then. It was quite a new thing. And I wanted the surprise. Yeah. So no, we didn't know what we had. So it was wonderful to get a boy and a girl.
There's like me and one other friend out of all of our friends that didn't find out.
You didn't?
No,
Yeah.
I didn't. My mum said to me, like, probably when I was in my like mid-20s, like she was like, when you have a baby, I will support you with whatever decision you make on one condition, and that is that you never find out what you're having before you have them. She's like, it's like unwrapping a Christmas present and then rewrapping it up and putting it back under the tree. She was like, what's the point? Like,
I mean, each to their own, isn't it? But I know lots of people like to get organised, or I've got friends who maybe had their 3rd child and wanted to know in case they, needed to keep some of their stuff. But I can understand maybe, but I just, it was the best surprise. I was ready for anything. But I was, it was just amazing.
And as when everyone says, well, it's either a boy or a girl, you had 3 options, like 2 boys, 2 girls, or a boy and a girl. Like that's so that's
a lot of names. We had to have a lot of names,
Yeah.
We need middle names for all the options. So so there were a lot of names, and funny enough, we never really finalized on 2 boys' names. So we'd have been stuck, I think, if we'd had 2 boys.
Yeah. Our plan was they were going to put the baby on my chest with a towel over, and then my husband was going to look and tell me. And they literally picked him up, and I went, "Oh, it's a boy." Ruined the whole thing. ruined the ritual, but it was good. It was good. And my mum was like, "Oh, boy," because my mum was in the room. Because I'm weird, and I was like, "No, I need my mum there as well. Like, I need a full audience for this birth." I love it.
Enough.
Now I've got a 2-year-old, and I struggle enough with doing this job in this industry and not having a normal job? Obviously, when your kids were little, you were in a very like high profile, high octane, like very demanding job. Like, how did you manage to do that?
We moved our life really right next door. You know, I remember I was filming a wedding, and wedding days, weddings, funerals, you know, big events in Albert Square are always, they're very long filming days, and you know, sometimes they're out on location, and it's, you know, it's a big affair, and depending on whether you're the bride or a guest, they're long days. So if you're a guest, it can get pretty boring because there's a lot of hanging around, and if you're a bride, it's very intense. And I think I was a bride on this one, and I had sort of prepared myself to be away from the babies for 2 nights. You know, I knew that I wasn't gonna see them. Even though I was going home, I knew they'd be in bed by the time I came home and by the time I left for work. So I'd kind of got in my head that's where I'd be. And then the 3rd day of shooting, I was supposed to be finishing early and I was gonna get home and see them. And you're just lovesick, aren't you? There's just this pain in your heart and you're lovesick. Um, and suddenly we started running over, which of course we do in filming very often, especially on big events. And my heart was sinking and I was just devastated. I was thinking, no, that's 3 nights. And I hadn't prepared my head for that. And I remember being bereft and just ringing my husband and saying, we're moving house. And he said, where to? And I said, I don't know yet, but within 5-10 minutes of the studio, we're going to rent our place out and we'll move. And he's amazing. He just went, okay.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, that decided it for me. So I moved as near as I could, and it was still pretty tricky to see them properly. So they would come into work at lunchtime. You know, I've got an amazing picture of Fred in June Brown's wig for .cotton somewhere, you know, and you try to make up for it. But then equally, when you're not hugely in the story, you would have downtime. So, you know, then I would have the days off work and I'd think, how lucky am I to, you know, be able to do this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had Samantha Janus on a couple of weeks ago, and she was saying that when she got cast, she was like, amazing. 'Cause she'd been like touring and doing theatre and stuff. And she's like, amazing. Gonna have normal hours. Like my kids, like we'll be at home, we'll have a nice house, like we'll all be in one place. And that now her son is like, yeah, mum, that wasn't a great time. Like, she thought we never saw you.
I heard her saying that. I listened
Yeah.
to that podcast and I thought, yeah, wow, I can understand that. I'm waiting for it all to come back on me when I get older, the decisions that you make and the way you try to play it. And, you know, it was one of the main reasons I left the show was that
Yeah.
they were about to start primary school and I hadn't seen enough of them. And then also the good thing about being freelance and away from a serial like that is that I could accept jobs or not. So I was able to I had a really blessed 4 or 5 years with them where I went from Ackley Bridge from September to January and then Shakespeare and Hathaway from January to June. And I had 2 months off over the summer with them completely. And, you know, Shakespeare and Hathaway's shot near home. So I'm always at home at night and I see them properly. So, you know, I had a really blessed few years for an actor because it's very difficult. You know, you travel a lot, but then, you know, equally, my kids are really well traveled. They're very easygoing. They're very confident. You know, they're used to being in cities and, you know, they're not the country bumpkins they might be if we just
Yeah.
gave a stable job.
I want to talk about Ackley Bridge in a minute, but first of all, my dad said I had to tell you. I spoke to him yesterday and I said, I've got Jo Joyner on my podcast tomorrow, and he was like, tell her I loved Candy Cabs and I'm so upset that there wasn't more of it. And I missed Candy Cabs, so I just like looked it up earlier. And looking at the cast, I need to find some way to watch this because it's like literally like the ultimate dream cast. You, Claire Sweeney, Jodie Prenger. What was it like working in that cast?
I I love your dad for that because I don't even know if you can find that anymore, but it's perfect for this podcast because actually it was my first job back to work when after the kids were born. So I had sort of said to EastEnders that I would take 6 months maternity leave. Not that you get maternity leave when you're self-employed, but that I would be back after 6 months, which in hindsight now I can honestly say was too soon. I wish I'd had the year. They were the only babies I had. I should have just taken a full year, but I didn't. Because I was the main breadwinner as well at the time. So you know, you feel that pressure. But during that time, fabulous director Minky Spiro, who I'd worked with first off in No Angels, this show I did when I was a kid, and she rang me up and said, what are the chances of you coming out of maternity leave to come and do this little, six-parter with me in Manchester? I was like, oh, I don't know. Well, I'll have a look. Yeah, I'll do it for you, Minky, if they'll let me. And so there was a bit of back and forth for them to let me off, because I had to push Eastenders dates a little bit. But yeah, when the kids were 5 months old, we moved to Manchester. We lived in a penthouse for 3 months. And I did 11-day fortnights, which is 6 weeks, then 5 weeks, doing candy cats with a fabulous lot of women. But I mean, I can't honestly say that I really know them or got to know them, because the twins were weaning, and I was absolutely exhausted. In fact, there was a Sunday where I had my day off and I was up in the kitchen, and because they were weaning, I wanted to make loads of their food myself. So I'd got those amazing stock cubes with less salt in and everything, and I was making, pureed pear and pureed sweet corn and peas, and then I was making a little chicken stew, and I was doing all this stuff. And then my husband came upstairs, and I sort of went, oh God, I feel faint. Oh no. So I had to sit down because I thought I was going to pass out. And I said to him, I looked at him and I thought, oh no, Neil, I've only ever felt faint and nearly passed out once in my life. And that was when I was pregnant. What if I'm pregnant, And he was like, babe, you haven't stopped working. It's Sunday. It's 8 o'clock in the morning and you've made 3 stews. I think you just did. And he was right. I think I was just on this, you're trying to be the best mother you can be. You're trying to be the best actress you can be. You're trying to be the best wife. You just, suddenly there comes a point where you think, I'm trying to be too many things to too many people, and I'm not winning at any of them, So Candy Cab, a blur.
Yeah. The cooking thing is such a thing though, because when Stanley was weaning, I was working loads, and but my sort of like love letter to him was making all his food from scratch. And I feel like I still use it now.
Exactly what I'm doing.
We got home from holiday yesterday, and my husband literally did 6 loads of washing, and I was like, "But I made dinner." And he was like, "Yeah, you made like jacket potato with beans and cheese." And I was like, "Yeah, but I made dinner for you." Like, anything is, but I've done 6 loads of washing while you had a nap. And I was like, "I made dinner for you." Like, what more do you want from me?
Oh, bless. Yeah, no, I think I definitely was making up for working by doing the yeah.
But yeah, it's the way to their heart is to their stomach. It's universal for everyone. Ackley Bridge, obviously, you did that after EastEnders. I've listened to a lot of podcasts. I'm a bit of an EastEnders super fan. On the down low, not really the down low. And I've listened to so many podcasts with people, and they were saying that, you get the material, then you don't really rehearse it. You run it through like once, you film it, and then it's gone. You're on to the next thing. With Ackley Bridge, do you get more time to sort of have the material and sort of do it at like a bit of a nicer pace and sort of get to grips with it more? And
yeah, well, with most dramas, you're kind of, and Shakespeare and Hathaway as well, you're shooting maybe 7 pages a day, and at a soap like EastEnders, you're shooting 17. Probably 17 scenes, maybe 40 pages of dialogue you might be learning the night before, and it'll be across maybe 3 units, so that's across maybe 12 episodes all in one day. So there's nothing that compares to shooting a soap and the speed that it's literally rehearse record all the way. 20 minutes for a scene, 40 minutes if it's in the Vic maybe, whereas on a normal drama set, yeah, absolutely, yeah, they're still quite fast paced because time is money and budgets are small, but yeah, for me they felt like luxury. But I mean, I'd done dramas before I'd gone into EastEnders, so I knew that EastEnders was like nothing in terms of its speed, and I'm sure Corrie and Emma, I'm sure they're all the same in terms of their volume and speed. But and it makes me smile because people can be really snobby about actors that have worked in soaps. And I always think, well, actually, if you've been in a soap and you haven't been rubbish, then, because it will expose you, that speed of work. If you're no good, you can't keep up with that and be any good on screen. So, actually, you really earn your stripes, and it means that you can really work well under pressure. When you're using the light on a drama set, it doesn't worry me, and then I'm working with a film star who like maybe gets 5 days for one scene, and they're looking at me looking at 7 scenes going, oh my God, how are we going to do this? And I'm thinking, I've got this, it's fine,
we'll get there, don't worry.
We'll get there, don't worry, just follow me.
Let's talk about Shakespeare Hathaway. It's come back for its 5th series, which is amazing. It was actually the biggest daytime series of 2022. Well done, amazing. as an actor, where sort of you go from like job to job, is it really lovely to have, like you said, you did Ackley Bridge for 3 months and then Shakespeare Hathaway for 3 months?
Yeah.
Is it lovely to go back to like the same people and the same characters, but
Yeah.
to be able to have that break as well?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a joy. And any series that I've done like that, I usually get bored after 3 series. I always get a little bit itchy feet and I always worry about getting too comfortable. So that was how I felt about Ackley Bridge. Ackley Bridge was a long way from home. So I wasn't seeing the kids a huge amount when I was filming that side of the year. And then after 3 years, I thought I've given the show everything I can, and I think that the show has become its own little entity and movement, and it's more about the kids. And it was time for something different, so I left. And that's often how I felt about shows. I felt like that about No Angels, felt like that about other series that I've done, but Shakespeare and Hathaway, I just don't feel like that about it. It's maybe because it's close to home, so it is comfortable in terms of I know I can be at home this time of the year, but the places that we shoot are so beautiful, and Mark Benton and I get on so well. We literally share a funny bone, and I love Luella, the character. She's so bright and bubbly and positive, and we laugh all the time when we're making that show. And the crew, after 5 years, watching what the BBC do brilliantly is they let the crew go up and up and up through the ranks. So you're working with runners that are now thirds, that are now a production manager, or so we are really close, big family. So yeah, it's a dream to be going back, and we love it. We really enjoy it.
And you were saying it's in the Midlands. Obviously, that's part of like BBC's commitment to like putting more into the Midlands and stuff.
Yeah.
That must be so lovely to be at home and to be around, like you said about the great places that you filmed for this series.
Yeah, yeah. So it's lovely because there's places like there's old big driveways, with bushes and big gates that I've driven past maybe for 30 years and wondered what was down them. And then suddenly I'll just drive up in the dark at 6 in the morning, get out of my trailer, come out of makeup when the sun's come up, and I go, oh my God, we're here. Oh, I've always wondered about this house, and now I get to go in it and look around, and it's a big stately home. So yeah, we get some amazing places to shoot, and it's beautiful in the Midlands. And then equally, always nice to bring jobs and work to your area, isn't it?
So that is launching on the 24th of September at 8 p.m. on U&Alibi, and then it's launching on BBC iPlayer later on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
later on, yeah, some point. I don't know when yet, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And the first four series are available on iPlayer. Like, it seems like a really fun show to work on.
It's a really good show to binge watch. A lot of people go to me, oh yeah, it's got rainy, or I had an operation on my leg. So, we just watched it back to back. And in fact, my daughter just said to her best friend the other day, she was like, when's it coming out, Mum? And I said, oh, it's coming out on the 28th. She said, Emily, should we have a little sleepover and we can binge watch it? I was like, oh, yeah,
Oh,
that's sweet. It's good.
love
It's good.
that.
But start on iPlayer and then move on to the new series. Yeah.
And Tanya Franks is in an episode. Was it nice to be back with her?
Tanya Franks is in an episode in this series, but also so is Amy Lee Hickman and Poppy Lee Fryer from Ackley Bridge, and Kay Rag from No Angels, who I work with. So I actually, just by chance, happened to have a lot of friends in this series who were really great. So yeah, it was lovely to have Tanya. She came and filmed, and Jake and his wife came, and Scott came. We all had Sunday lunch together. It was lovely.
Oh, that's so lovely. Just before you go, don't hate me, but obviously as a super fan, I have to ask, are you going to complete my Happy Families card game? Like for the Brannings? You're the last
They're all
one.
there.
Last one. Yeah.
They're all there. Do you know what made me laugh the other day? Because he sent me a picture from set, and I saw how tall my son is, Oscar. I said, "Do they know that his son's a hobbit?" I mean, yeah, I'm not this year.
No.
Let's say never. But I've got a lot on this year, so
Yeah.
no.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. Shakespeare Hathaway is on the 24th of September, and the first four series are available on iPlayer. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Shakespeare and Hathaway launches on the 24th of September at 8 p.m. on U&Alibi. And I'll be back next week with another fabulous guest. Until then, don't forget to check out our socials at Amy Hart's Mums Club on Instagram and TikTok, and I will speak to you soon.